There are 199 passports. Each one is a key. The doors they open have nothing to do with talent or merit, only the country where you were born. The weakest passports in the world share one thing: conflict, isolation, or the legacy of both. Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Pakistan. These are not simply nations with low scores. They are nations whose citizens face the most scrutiny on earth. Stopped at borders, denied visas, treated as suspects before they have spoken a word. The passport you carry is not a document. It is a verdict. Before borders were policed, people moved freely. The idea that a document could determine your right to cross a line on a map would have been incomprehensible to most of human history. For millennia, migration was natural, unremarkable, and largely unrecorded. The countries in this section, Nigeria, Djibouti, Laos, Turkmenistan, Vietnam, represent hundreds of millions of people. Their passports open between 44 and 52 doors. The average person on Earth holding the median passport can access fewer than a third of all nations without a visa. Mobility is a privilege, not a right. The oldest passport-like document appears in the Hebrew Bible, around 450 BC. Persian King Artaxerxes granted this man safe passage to Jerusalem. Identity encoded in writing was ancient, long before Europe had a word for it. Guinea, Mali, Niger, India, Cuba, Senegal, Uganda. Nations of enormous populations and deep histories, constrained by geopolitics, governance, or distance from the dominant visa frameworks. India alone, 1.4 billion people, 56 visa-free destinations. That number is not a measure of its people, it is a measure of its politics. Ancient China issued travel documents as early as 206 BC. The Han Dynasty recorded a traveler's height, age, and physical features, identity encoded in writing, long before Europe had a word for the concept. The countries in this section hold scores between 63 and 73, a mixed geography of rising democracies, stable monarchies, and emerging economies. Morocco is one of Africa's fastest movers in passport power. Indonesia, with 270 million people and ASEAN's largest economy, opens just 70 doors, a number its government has spent years trying to push higher. In medieval Europe, the precursor to the modern passport was the safe conduct, a letter from a king guaranteeing a named traveler's protection along the roads. Without one, you were at the mercy of whoever held the gate. These letters were personal, handwritten, carried by merchants, diplomats, and pilgrims. The countries in this section hold scores between 75 and 92. China, the world's second largest economy, sits at 82. Saudi Arabia, after sustained diplomatic expansion under Vision 2030, has climbed dramatically. Geopolitical weight and passport strength do not always move together. In 1414, England's Parliament formalized the passport under Henry V. The word derives from the Italian passaporto, to pass through a harbor gate. It was conceived as a tool of control as much as protection. The countries in this section hold scores between 93 and 134. Russia sits at 113, a figure that collapsed after the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Taiwan, recognized by only 12 states, yet opens 134 doors, one of the most remarkable anomalies in the entire index. Diplomatic recognition and passport power are measured differently. Taiwan proves they do not have to align. By the 1860s, passports were disappearing. Railway travel made borders unenforceable. Europe went briefly borderless, the first and only time in its modern history. Then came August 1914. Within weeks, every major European power reinstated passport controls. The free movement of half a century ended overnight, and it has never fully returned. The countries in this section, Honduras, Colombia, Taiwan, Serbia, Costa Rica, hold scores between 127 and 148. Ukraine, which gained EU visa-free access in 2017, sits at 142. Russia's invasion in 2022 did not remove that, but it froze everything else. In 1920, the League of Nations standardized the passport. 32 pages, a photograph, a country. In 1980, the machine-readable version arrived. 2 encoded lines, processed in seconds. The modern document was taking its final shape. The countries in this section from Vatican City, a state of fewer than 800 residents, to Bulgaria, which entered Schengen in 2024. Israel sits at 166, despite some of the deepest regional hostility on Earth. Hong Kong at 174, 92 points above mainland China. The same issuing authority, entirely different diplomatic histories. In 1998, Malaysia embedded the first biometric chip into a passport. By 2007, the RFID standard was global. Your identity stored on a chip no larger than a thumbnail. The document had crossed from paper into silicon. The countries in this section hold scores between 177 and 184. The United States, ranked first as recently as 2014, now sits 10th. That drop does not reflect diplomatic failure. It reflects the rise of others. Particularly the EU states that now cluster at the very top: Germany, France, and all the countries that follow. The same planet, different worlds entirely. A gap of 168 destinations separates the weakest passport from the strongest. Sweden, Japan, South Korea, the UAE, and Singapore, a city-state of just 6 million with no natural resources, holding the world's most powerful passport. Card 199.